Welcome all, Boone here from EWPRO. Getting straight into the weekly outlook, looking at the DXY on the daily, nothing's changed. We're looking at this as corrective in here, and we've broken out of that trend line now. I'm looking at that that target of 100 fib there, 102.78. I mean, you could get in, you could, I mean, we're starting to get a little correction in here, but there was a correction there. There was plenty of opportunities to get in this. After we had these three down here, we had little flat there, little flag there, another little flag there. So there's been quite a few opportunities to get in. If you're not in, well, you could look for another little flag in here, and you definitely want to be at break even at the break of the top, like I've mentioned before, though. AU on the daily, I'm looking at this as rather corrective in here, so we get another one down. I'm looking at this wave 4 here, and there's a time factor there as well. It's going to be very difficult to trade this because it didn't come from a top. When I say that, I'm looking at this here. This is the top here, not here. So this one's a little bit more dangerous to do anything with. This is still looking rather corrective here, but yeah, it's not ideal. Yeah. GU, I'm actually, well, we got this larger correction here. This like A, B, and a C. It's more of a complex correction. But we did have, like I mentioned, we had three down in here. There's two scenarios here now, though. Like I've been mentioning for quite a few weeks now. There's two scenarios. We get an A, B, C in here, just breaking that low, and we get a flat here, an A, B, C, a flat. And it goes down and breaks the low for some sort of a C down here. There's that scenario, or if we get a buy set up in here on the lower time frames, at this stage, I'm still very much bullish. Well, we broke this top over here, and once we broke that top over there, I said, well, if we get a correction in here, we can look to buy for at least 3 up. Now it is turning it rather bearish because we did break this low here in this move down, so it's not ideal. And I mean, this doesn't look really corrective. It looks more motive than corrective, so it's going to be quite difficult to get in. As you can see, this looks quite corrective, like that did. So the only way you can buy is, we get another one down in here, another high here, and then a bullish correction and a bullish setup. Then you could buy to go up and break that top. Until you get this, it's more of a sell. If this just gives us a large correction in here, bearish correction in here, well, then you could give it a sell. Look for a sell. It really depends on how far this correction in here goes at this stage. Like I said, ideally, there's not much more to it. It falls over, it gives us another lower low, then a nice impulse up, a bullish setup, and then we could look to buy. Yeah. EU on the daily, we're looking at the same, like this, like A, B, C. So we get an A, B, C in here, an A, B, C, and then we get that A, B, C, and we're getting that C down now. In this last little bit in here, we're looking at this as corrective, looked very corrective last week, possibly the week before that as well. So again, ideally this does come down, breaks the low here, and then gives us a nice impulse up, a bullish setup, and then we can look for buys. You can only look for buys after we get the impulse in the correction. This stage it's more bearish, but we're only really looking to break that low. As for a setup to sell, it's quite choppy. There is no divergence, so we can definitely still sell, but I mean, it's not ideal. You're really going down onto the lower time frames looking for this to sell. More than right, well, this is almost already gone and broken the low, so I wouldn't really be looking for sells, so to speak, but not to trade anyway. Ideally, it does go down and break that low, this low here, but to trade it, to get into a sell is another story. It's quite risky, the way it's setting up. And you looking at some sort of complex correction here too. Like we had that A, B, C, then had an A, B, C in here as well. So we may get some sort of an A, B, C here. Oh, we got the A, B, C there. It's more of a complex correction. This like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a 3, 3, 5 complex correction, or we may just get a 3, 3, 3, 3, and we get 3 up in here before we go and break this low. This one's got to be careful here too, because we do have a possible bear hidden there. If we get 3 down in here, and we get a deep correction in here to this impulse here, well, and we just get a C down in here, and then a bullish setup, we could look to buy for like an A, a B, and a C up. And if you get a very choppy wave in here, you could look for a sell just for a C down. And if you're lucky, it may fall over because, the buy depends on we get 3 down in here, impulse up, and then a bullish correction. That's the only way you can buy. You got to wait for all those steps before you can jump into a buy. So at this stage, it's really just waiting for what's happening in here. We got a nice impulse down from a top. So if we get a correction in there, we can look for 3 down. And then, like I mentioned, if you go down onto the lower time frame, you get an impulse up and a bullish setup. Well, then you could look for the buy for the larger A, B, C up. G White, we're pretty much staying out of this. It didn't really. I would have really liked to see. Well, we were looking for a correction in here that way for. But we didn't really. I was looking for one down in here, like an A, B, C in here, something a little bit lower. Instead, it just kept on going up. I'm really only looking for downside, but it's not giving us any sell setups. It's more bullish. You look here on the H1, we got bull hidden there. So until this low here is broken, it's still very much bullish. This can still go up and break that top. It's just very sideways here. You'd be very careful. I would be staying out of it until we get a nice sell setup. And, this isn't a nice sell setup. For the sell setup, I would have been looking for a nice impulse down here, breaking these lows, and then a bearish setup or bearish correction and a bearish setup to sell. That would be how I'd be looking for a sell, but we're just not getting those sell setups. So be very careful trading GY at this stage. UY, we're up to that second target now, that 161.8. So again, got to be very careful here. It hadn't quite hit it. Very close though. There's really not much you can do with this either. This is more bullish still. We can get 5 up here, like 1, 2, 3, get a wave 4 and a wave 5 up here. So I wouldn't be buying. I wouldn't be buying. I dare say we're going to get a lot of resistance around this 161.8. So be very careful up here. If we got a wave 4, if we got that wave 4 in here, you could look for a wave 5 up, but it's a time factor. You're looking for a correction of similar size to this in time over here before you get more upside. So ideally we get some sort of a correction in here, then you could, it's just a scalp to break the top. Yeah, but you need this correction first. I wouldn't be buying up here. I mean, you can, but you gotta, it's just scalping. You got to be in and out of the trade. UCAD, it's really on the H4, this one, that we've been looking at. We've got those 5 up here. Looking at that as a leading diagonal, possible leading diagonal, because on the daily we got a Z down there. So now I'm looking for that larger correction. Get some sort of a larger correction in here, and because it's a leading, looking at it as a possible leading diagonal, this could be a very deep correction to all of this. So I'd be looking at it to back down to the 78.6 or the 61.8, or even the 90 fib down here. So this may turn into a very deep correction. So if we do get a sell in here, definitely can look for a sell. It's more of a wave 4 that we're seeing now. Like we got like 1, 2, 3, get a wave 4 and a wave 5 down. You can see I've got an arrow there for a time factor for this fifth, wave 4, and then we get a wave 5 down. I'll just double check to see if that top's been it has been broken here. So we do have like 3 up. It may turn a little bit more complex because we do have like 3 up just breaking that top there. So we may get some sort of an A, B, C down in here flat before we get that A, B, C. And then it falls over. But you definitely can, because that top's already been broken here, we can look for a sell. It doesn't look like it's going to give us a sell setup though. I'll quickly go down to the M15. It's sort of, it gave us, after these 3 up here, it gave us a nice impulse down, but it's gone straight back up. So it's pretty much ended any sort of a sell setup. If this had just given us a impulse down and then just a correction in here, something corrective, well, then we could look for the sell. It didn't do that. So yeah, it's not giving us a nice sell setup. USD Swiss franc, we're looking for that 100 fib target here. It's just about there. So again, there's really not much you can do with this at this stage. We got the 5 up in here, sort of looking at some sort of larger correction here before we get another 5 up. But yeah, it's getting very choppy with bearish divergence. Gets very risky, you know. EG, we got that leading diagonal over here. We already had that A, B, C here. It never went up and broke the top. It did break the ending point of that wave 5. Um, but yeah, this is more sort of looking at this as more corrective as well. Like we get a 1, 2, 3, get a wave 4 and a wave 5 down. At this stage, you could possibly look for a buy. It's more on the H1. I'm getting something like an A, a B, and a C here. This may turn expanding and break that low. But if we get a nice C down in here, and then a bullish setup, an impulse up, and a bullish flag or correction in here, well, then we could look for a buy for like one A, B, and a C up. But then I'd be looking for downside. Because if you have a look on the H4, I should have pointed it out. If you have a look on the H4, we'll possibly get bear hidden here between this top and wherever this top, well, even at this stage. I think that's there's a possible bear hidden there already. So you will have to be very careful getting into the buy. But I do think we'll get some sort of an A, B, C in here, flat, another one up. And then you'd have to be careful. If we've got a bearish setup, well, then you could look to sell to go and break that low. WTI, I said this when this was coming down. You know, when it was down over here and that, I was saying, you know, this is still very much bullish to me on the daily until this low down here is broken. And we got a nice impulse up. So anyone that was doubting me when this was, you know, falling over, that this would go up and break the top, well, yeah, it's looking like it will now with that nice impulse up. I was looking for a wave 4 here as well, and a possible wave 5 down before it does go and break the top. And that is still very much possible. Because in here, we have that bear hidden. So until that top there is broken, it's still very much, well, that bear hidden there can play out. I mean, this is where you wanted to get in here, you know, at that first opportunity. If you were going to buy, that's where you would have brought. And that was just for an A, B, C up in here for the wave 4. It's gone extended, which is, you know, that's why you have to get in on that first opportunity. Now, if you're buying up here, well, you know, it's very dangerous to be doing anything up here. We do have bearish divergence here on the H1. There is no sell setup, and I dare say there's still more upside here. If we have a look on the M15, for example, you know, we've got a possible bull hidden in here. You could look to buy this, just scalping to break the top on the lower time frames. For example, on the M5, we got a nice impulse up in here. So if we get a correction, you can look for at least 3 up. It may or may not go and break that top. Ideally, it does. But I'd be looking for at least 3 up. Only after we get that correction. You've got to wait for the price action to make sure it looks corrective and there's a complete correction there before you take a trade, of course. Gold, we're getting that C down. And again, this one has that bull hidden. This one has that bull hidden there. So like I've been saying for a long time, until that low there's broken, I'm still very much bullish on this. Was looking for, on the H4, was looking for another one down too. like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had that, or the extended wave that I was looking at, like that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That extended wave in the wave 3. But the problem was we got the wave 4, but it never went down and broke that low. So this can be just an A, a B, and a C here, and then give us more downside. So we will have to be rather careful here. I mean, it is still very much bullish, because we do have a possible bull hidden in here, and we get like 1, 2, 3, wave 4, and a wave 5 up. So there is still possibly more upside in this. There was a buy in here, gave us a C up, but then come back, take everyone out. Now it's rather difficult, because, like, if we take a quick look at the M5, we've already got 3 up in here with bearish divergence. If this had come down and broken that low and then started to give us a bearish correction, well, then we could look for a sell to go and break that low. But as you can see here, there's a possible bull hidden there. So until that low is broken, this still can go up and break that top. So yeah, silver's pretty much the same as gold. I'm still very much bullish until this low here is broken. On the daily, I'm still very much bullish until this low here is broken. This was a lot better. Well, it's not better, but this one here gave us 3 down, breaking that low. So we got like an A, a B, and a C flat. So this one can come down and break the low. There was 2 scenarios here. If you remember last week, this either just gives us a bullish setup to buy, or it's just an A, a B, and a C, and it gives us a sell setup to sell. At this stage, it's looking like it's giving us a sell setup. We've really got to go down onto the lower time frames. So I'd be looking at all this as like 1, 2, 3, get a wave 4 in here, wave 5 down as a correction, and you get an A, a B, and a C. So I'd be looking for a C down. In saying that, it may give, in the shorter term, it may still give us another one up in here before it goes. So we'll have to be careful of that. Bitcoin, I've been saying ever since we got this 5th wave down here, looking for buys. It was looking very corrective. That's what I was being concerned about. This is looking very corrective. It doesn't look motive, even after those 5 down. So this may come down and break the low again by the look of it. It did. We were looking for this, another one up in here. I was even looking for another one up in here. But it's come very deep now. It may even have broken this low over here. It looks like it has broken that low over there. This low here has been broken over here. So it's taken out that possible bull hidden. So I'd be very much bearish on this. At this stage, you'd be looking at a buy, very risky buy, because you'd just be you'd be looking at this as bullish for a C up. It could turn quite complex too, because we've got impulse, 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 and here's the correction. So we get impulse, correction, impulse, impulse, correction, impulse, and then we get impulse, correction, impulse before we go and break the low. So this may turn into quite a complex correction in here before it goes and breaks this low. But you know, you could look for a buy in here, and if you're lucky, it takes off. But you'd just be expecting an A, a B, and a C in here. If it does take off, well, you could hold it. You know, get out a half at this like 100 fib here, and then if it does take off, well, you still got half your trade. But it starts to give you a sell setup here. Well, you know, I'd start to get out of the whole lot, possibly take a sell, but yeah. S&P 500 right up the top on the weekly at the wave 5. So it's breached both our targets on the fifth wave up to that 161.8 and then 123.6. It's gone straight through both targets. I mean, we were looking for sell in here last week, looking at that as bearish for sell. Well, you know, you're either in it or you're not, pretty much. Still looking very much bearish as well. So, yeah, I mean, this is where you need to get in here after this impulse from the top, correction and impulse. So you pretty much be already in this if you trade it. If you don't, well, if you're not in it, it's going to be very difficult for you. AU200, I'd stay out altogether now. This, I mean, it was looking promising. We had a nice impulse up, broke out of this correction here, sort of had a nice buy setup, but it never went. It never went, and now you just stay out of this. It's dangerous. It hasn't gone, so something's wrong. The FTSE, I mean, this is, you know, we got an impulse, impulse, and an impulse. This looks corrective, so we get impulse, correction, impulse, impulse, correction, impulse, impulse, correction, impulse, before we get more upside. So it's pretty much exactly, I showed this last week. That's what sort of correction I'm looking at, and it hasn't changed since last week. I'd be looking for a sell, but there's no sell set up, you know. So yeah. The DAX, you know, I'd be leaving this alone as well, because we've already got that. It's already gone up and broken the top. We've got all that bearish divergence there on the daily. It's only a matter of time before this falls over. I'm only looking for sell setups, but it's not going. Excuse me. Like I said last week, pretty sure I said this last week, we got a bull hidden there. That low there wasn't broken, so this can still go up and break that top. So it would have been nice if this come down, break that low, give us a nice correction, makes it very easy for us to sell, but unfortunately it's not. It can still give us another high here, and you can't really trade in here because it can go either way. So yeah, I'd be leaving this one alone at this stage. So I hope you got something out of this weekly outlook. If you did, please hit the like button, share and subscribe. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.